Hey everyone, what's personal branding? Well, that's a question in itself, isn't it? We all hear about people having a personal brand. You want to make sure your brand works with your personality, everything that kind of thing. So today we're going to get that question answered question. So what's personal branding and why is it so important? Want to know how to use it for social media, to build your personal brand going forward, of course. Well, stay tuned because our guest today is the total expert on this and more.
Well, happy Friday, Emer, and special guest. I'll say the first name, Ella. But should I say, actually, with our Bible of a resource, Emer, that we go, which is, daysoftheyears.com, it is Happy National Pizza Party Day, Emer and Ella.
Right.
So you guys partial to a bit of pizza?
Well, I'm going to tell you a story. I was recently in London. Yes, I was. They let me go in and they let me back out again. Wow. And I went to Harrods, right? But it was a little bit posh for me, I'm surprised they let me in the door. But across the road is a place called the Crazy Pizza. So I went in, they let us in and we went sat down and it was
you were recognized, Emer, were you? At the
Crazy Pizza? Yeah, I was, all those, give us your autograph. Yeah, no. I was by the door. That was the thing. But the food was lovely and the pizzas were exceptional. And so that was a highlight for me. So there you go. Can you put a topping on that?
Do you like pizza, Ella? Do you have a favorite pizza?
I'm partial to a pizza. I am. Yeah, I'm probably one of those weird people who actually likes a vegetarian pizza. I like it with all
I do. Yeah.
All the all the different veggies on
Don't
stuff. Yeah.
No pineapple.
No. But that kind of compensates for the kind of base, isn't it? Because you always think, pizza, it's that. I mean, even if you have those thin crust ones, it's kind of, you still feel like it's a bit naughty, really.
I like hot pizzas. That have chili and
really.
On pizza. Yeah. So
there you go.
Is that because you're hot stuff, Mr. T?
Yes.
Without a hair out of place.
Without a hair. This is not a wig, Ella. This is all my own.
Well, he said that, but anyway, so
God, Emer, who's this person that is telling me that I've false hair?
Who's that person? Well, today we are joined by the I'm going to say expert in disguise because she's very, very, humble, but she is so good. Ella Orr with a double R, not just one single R.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So Ella is an exceptionally talented social media marketing and personal branding consultant for finance, law, and regulated industries. Does that include the hair industry? I must check with her.
It's regulated.
An exceptional event speaker and also a former teacher. Oh, we might get detention, Philip.
Yep.
She might make you send a pizza. She I don't get anything done today. She lifts brands and gets them all weighted into her local gym, in a sense, gets them moving forward and gets them up to speed and all the rest, as they say. And her personality is strong, as she says, in the gym. And so let's welcome to Let's Get Social, Miss Ella Orr.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's so lovely to finally speak to both of you because as we were just saying, and we were saying that we've actually known each other for about 3 years. We've been connected through social media and been following each other and engaging on each other's content and whatever. But this is the first time I've actually spoken to both of you, which is brilliant.
I'm just saying you've had a lucky escape.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you've got Let's Get Social for us to get social together.
Exactly. Well, after this interview, Ella, you'll have to get into the gym and probably do some squats or pump some iron, just to kind of get yourself your well-being back, get over the...
Or worst case scenario, she actually goes off and gets a pizza now because we talked about that.
Exactly.
As she's working food, I'm hungry now, right?
Exactly. But listen, just for everybody listening today, we are delighted to let you know that Ella will be with us for 2 shows. So make sure you tune in again this time and next Friday for part 2 of this great talk about personal branding and social media with Ella. And obviously, if you missed any of our previous shows, they're all up on the Let's Get Social Show podcast on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, and of course, the Dublin South FM website.
And as they say, if video is your thing, which I am slowly coming around to, you can head over and find us on the YouTube channel, Let's Get Social, and you can see us as well as hear us. And if you are really enthusiastic, will you please ring that bell and subscribe so you don't miss an episode? And,
exactly.
Let's get social.
And then finally, before we crack on and put Ella under the microscope with the questions, if you have any other topics or any kind of areas you'd like us to maybe consider doing for a show, you can send us an email to inquiries@dublinsouthfm.ie, and we'd be delighted to get your ideas. So, Emer, do you want to put Ella in the hot seat? Let's start all the conversation, as they say.
Well, she might get out of the seat and run away, but anyway, grab her now while I can. So, Ella, let's do this. And can we keep it in social media for dummies? Because sometimes yourself, there's days I kind of went, what's a hashtag? But anyway,
it's not a good start, Ella, is it? That the co-host doesn't even know what a hashtag is. Move it on.
What is a hashtag? So anyway, let's kick it off with that. So what is it? What is personal branding? And why is it important?
Very interesting question, Emer. I'm so glad that you asked me on the show to talk about this. Well, so my definition of personal branding is about you as the individual being seen, being known. Because you're being seen, you're being known, you're being visible, people get to know you, and hopefully they get to trust you. And then even if they don't necessarily want to work with you there and then, when they do, they remember you. So you are preferred and you become memorable. And that's my definition of what personal brand is. And that can apply across whichever area. It could be for running your business. It could be as somebody who is within a company, but you are looking to get a promotion, or you want to, your career to move in a particular direction. Or it could be somebody who's got a cause that they're really passionate about, and they use their personality in order to shine a spotlight on what that cause is, that that particular topic, or that particular cause. So it's really about it's simple, really. It's about us using what makes us unique and individual, which is our personalities, to get our message out there and to be remembered for it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a good thing, but then sometimes it's a bad thing, Mr. T, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
I was going to pick on him and his digital giggle, which he lost the battle with. But I know.
Yeah, I did. My personal brand was based around telling jokes.
Yes, I remember them well.
Yeah. Well, listen, for our show next week, I may bring something back.
Revive the jokes.
Revive the jokes. Bring the humor, the smiles back to the show, Emer. It's not all about seriousness,
That was all business, but anyway,
Yeah. But no, I think you're spot on, because we had the similar touched on this type of conversation when we chatted with Madeline Sklar. You probably remember.
Yes.
We were talking about Twitter. And she went through this whole process of looking at her personal brand when she was redesigning her Twitter header cover. And when she put it out to her community, they all chose the one she has now, not the one she'd originally put up, because they felt it really was her. Her tattoos were showing. She's a bit of a kind of a rock, funky individual, but that Madeline is all about connection.
I love Madeline. She's brilliant.
Yeah, she's great.
Absolutely brilliant.
And I suppose she really, her brand, she's so true to it, because she says use video to connect with influencers. And that's what I did back in 2016 when I got to connect with Madeline. I sent her a video to say, hey, Madeline, love your content, would love to connect on Twitter. And she sent me a video back. So I think you're right. I think you have to be true to your authenticity. If you want to come across as friendly and personable, well, you have to demonstrate that. You have to be true to that. It's just like what you say, Emer, on social, just don't post and ghost. You want people to engage with you, but then you're just posting, not engaging back. So I think it's and that comes down to, like, would it be right in saying as well, Ella, like when we looked at your website and your content, the way your writing style, the way you create the images, even your images, or even on video, you've got a big beaming smile. I think everybody who knows you would say, yeah, that's Ella. Personable, friendly, wants people kind of warm and opening. People are not afraid to engage with you because you have this personality or this brand that Ella wants to help people and wants people to interact with. It be fair to say?
Yeah, definitely, most definitely. And that is the teacher part of me, which interestingly, when I started working in social media, which was about 5 years ago now, I wanted to leave all that previous career behind, because I thought, I don't want to be known as a teacher. I want to be known as a social media marketer or social media manager at the time, because I was doing management. But now I've actually embraced the teaching and all of those transferable skills from there into my personal brand now, which is why, yes, I'm Ella, the welcoming, I will help you kind of personality, because that's what I want to do. But it's also about, if you work with me, you can expect some homework.
I know the feeling.
Emer, delete that email we sent to Ella about wanting to do some training. We want no homework, Ella.
Like, I used to be anti-homework, really, like, especially when you were in school, going, why you have to do it? But actually there is a benefit to it, because like I do training with my clients, and I do these session notes, and I make sure that they have screenshots and blah, 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 and I put them straight. And it's just, they actually appreciate it, because they go, I'm not going to remember everything you said, and it's like a backup, so that they can go off and go, did I actually tick in how to do a headline for my LinkedIn? Work away on that. So I think it's great that you can actually leverage that, because then people have a lot more trust in the fact that you actually will give them something that's going to benefit them,
Yeah. And the thing about personal brand is, I think, we talk about it being personal brand, and that all seems a bit very self-centered and a bit showy-offy and everything else. But to me, personal brand it's a two-way street. It's a two-way conversation, and it is about, this is my personal brand, but it's actually how what I have to offer is going to help you, the customer, help you, the client, so it's not just about me, going off on and telling you all about the wonderful things that I can do for you. I want to know what your pain points and your problems and your challenges are, so that I can really, really help you and see whether or not my personal brand is a good fit with what you are looking for. Because I think that's where the magic happens in terms of marketing.
It's very true.
Yeah, because I do think sometimes, and I don't know what you think, Philip, is people kind of go, well, where do you start with a personal brand? Like, it's, you could be starting off like, the people have a career change, or they had a life-changing moment, and they go, right, I'm not going to be a teacher anymore, like you did. And they go a totally different direction.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of like going, oh, how can I stand out from the crowd, And I think that's why as you say, it's really important to have something that, will kind of get people to see you for what you can do for them.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Ema. I mean, it was something that I can really relate to that, because I was really struggling after I did my social media marketing training, which was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. It was like a rebirth for me, because I was desperate to get out of teaching, and I found this new kind of, I thought, I'm going to be on this new career path. But of course, I was finding it really difficult to be noticed, because I didn't have any friends I could call on to open doors for me. I didn't know any, I didn't have any connections with anybody. I went onto LinkedIn, and it was kind of, oh my God, this place is kind of so daunting and intimidating. But thankfully, when I started looking at the personal brand idea, and I thought, now I can see where it's starting to make sense, because I do need to look back at all the things that I've done before. We do need to look back at all those experiences and that knowledge. And that's what I think is a very good foundation for starting to think about your personal brand, which I know is a question you're going to ask me.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
No, we haven't really
teacher,
prepped.
social media, personal branding, and psychic. Ooh.
We haven't really prepped this interview.
No, definitely not.
No, we go large, you know, because we just let it fly, you know. So, well,
organic.
Yeah, well, speaking of that particular train of thought, and it's a good segue, Ella. I like the way you position that.
What time?
Like whether people are in their current role and they're trying to build their personal brand. It could be a company or it could be an individual, someone who is going through a transition like that you went through, where you went from a teacher to something completely different. How do you go about identifying your unique strengths and skills to build a personal brand around them that you feel could resonate with an audience?
Well, one of the things that I ask my clients to do is to, first of all, you've got to sort of, first of all, open your mind. You've got to have an open mind about this. And it's also going to take time for you to start thinking about what your strengths are and what you can offer. So you get a big sheet of paper, good old fashioned sheet of paper, get some getting some fancy marker pens and whatever it is, or, you get your spreadsheet out, Philip, something like that.
Hold on a second.
You know him so
whatever
well.
it is. But you've got to write down everything, first of all, that you think you're good at. Everything you think you're good at, all your wins, all your successes, all your achievements. And you can go back as far as you want to. I mean, I say to people, go back to when what you wanted to be when you were a kid growing up. Funnily enough, the things that I wanted to be when I was a teenager and when I was at college are now starting to play a part in my personal branding now. For example, I wanted to be a professional singer back in the day, 30 years ago. And now, instead of being a professional singer, I'm starting to do more speaking.
Wow.
So that kind of, element of standing up and presenting in that kind of way is coming to the fore in a different way. So I say bring those skills in.
I'm really sorry.
I was going to say he has.
I want to be a Canadian Mountie. So I'm not quite sure that's going to combine. It could be a Canadian mountain Twitter expert or something.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if you've seen his Instagram, Ella, but he has, I keep referencing it so people can go and check him out. He used to be in kickboxing, wasn't it, fella? And then I keep thinking that's probably why he's so good at what he does, at kicking my ass, to get on and do the show. Shut up, Emer. But anyway, like he'd be doing these high kicks and pointing at the best tools for 2023. That's kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't realise that was the kickboxing background, Philip.
Kickboxing, yeah.
Karate
and kickboxing and
wow.
So you were right, Ella. He brought something that he is talented into the business.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, again, along with the jokes, Philip, they should make a return.
So, joking kickboxing social media expert.
Yeah.
Wow. What can I say? Huh?
You make everybody you kick ass and make everybody happy, Philip.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, there you go. But yeah, so I would say is, get all of those things that you're proud of, those talents, those wins, down onto a sheet of paper. But then you've got to go and then also the other thing I'd say is do an audit of your career. That's the other thing I always say to people, look back at everything that you have done in terms of the different roles, the different jobs you've been in, because you'll have acquired skills from all of those.
And a lot of them could be transferable. Like
a lot of them are transferable, and also anything you've done voluntarily as well, like committees you've been on and so forth. Like I'm actually on my village magazine here in where I live in Leicestershire, and I've been on this magazine for the last 13 years, the whole time we've lived here. So I've acquired editing skills and reporting skills and all of that. But the other thing as well to do is to ask people who you trust. Because people that you trust, your associates, your colleagues, your peers, sometimes I'd say be a bit wary about asking friends and family, because they have a different
lie
sometimes, and may not necessarily be that positive. But if you ask people who you trust, your former clients and customers as well, they will give you their objective views about you, and you put all of that into the melting pot. So you've got you're going to have lists and lists of words and phrases, and from there you can start to disregard the ones that are a bit boring and a bit samey, and really start to get to the nub of the ones that sum you up. That's how you're going to start building
like a branding brainstorm, nearly
a branding brainstorm, just like you would do with a product. Exactly. So that's how I would start, and that was how I started with building my personal brand, and that was where the whole kind of disregarding of the teaching, suddenly I thought, actually I shouldn't be doing that. I should be looking at those skills and how those are going to, they are a very firm foundation of my personal brand.
So that's a good angle, rather than going around the houses, and that could take you forever. And that could be, as you would say, maybe, a mistake you can avoid. Is there any other kind of mistakes maybe that people can maybe save themselves time with,
Yeah, even... I would say, I mean, a lot of people and I think that this is not to kind of be critical of any of my sort of fellow personal brand strategists, consultant people who I know, but I know a lot of people.
She's not looking at you, Philip. Don't worry.
No, but I know a lot of people like to do these personality tests and all of this kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, I think those can be helpful, but sometimes they can be a little bit misleading. And that's why I would say, if you've got the time to do it, and not the time to do it. I mean, I think it's a very important investment, because I really think that everybody should have a personal brand. If you're going to stand out in this crowded marketplace that we have now, then you should be investing time in your personal brand. But I would say, be a bit wary about some of the tools and the maybe tests that are out there, personality tests and things like that, because that can be, I think it may not be that helpful. But the other thing I was going
to say, Ella, everybody's personality is different.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is probably a good thing.
Exactly. And interestingly, Ema, I think the thing as well is that sometimes with those personality tests, if they say, oh, well, you pick that word and you pick that category, that makes you this. And it doesn't necessarily make you that, because none of us fit into a box. None of us.
No. That's why we're human, so
exactly. Yeah.
Like based on your experience, Ella, building personal brand, and obviously in the space that we are all in, which is social media, trying to ensure consistency of building your brand across social media, what do you tend to advise to someone to help them stay consistent, but also to maybe not make some common mistakes that you might see as they're on that journey building their brand on social media?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think, a really important part of your personal brand is to be seen, to be visible. And I think one of the things that people struggle with is that consistency of visibility on wherever. I mean, so for example, on LinkedIn, it's like, they post inconsistently on LinkedIn, and I mean that's fine. I mean, at least people are posting. But I think if you are in the habit of posting regularly, even if it's only once or twice a week, at least then your audience knows that you're showing up there. And that you are present on the platform. But even if you're not posting, I think as long as if you're commenting, then that activity is also shown up on your LinkedIn activity. So then it's like, well, Ella Orr commented on this, or Ella Orr, like that, or whatever it was. Then people can see that. I mean, I only post a couple of times a week on LinkedIn. I'm not one of these prolific LinkedIn posters, but I do go on the platform pretty much every day and leave a few comments. Because then that lets people know. And I always try to leave a comment that adds something. So that's another way I think of showing your consistency, because if you consistently comment in a way that either adds value or is a reflection of your personal brand. I mean, if you start going on there, and that's why I don't go onto LinkedIn and start being hypercritical. I will make my point about things and I'll be assertive, but I'm not going to start bad mouthing people or anything like that, which we know some people do on LinkedIn, because that's not part of my personal brand. I'm not. I'm you know.
And you're not like that anyway. So
I'm not like that. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and I think that's a very interesting point, because I think, like, I'm sure you've heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, Ella.
Yeah.
I love watching his content, but I see an awful lot of people, maybe more so in other countries, who try to be the next Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yes.
They go on stage and they feel they have to, every second word is F this or
this,
F that.
Yeah.
Hustle and da. And you can see a complete disconnect, because that is Gary V's brand.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really look like it's almost like you're trying to be somebody that you're not, as opposed to just being you. So I think that's and I think you're right about consistency. Like myself and Emer, we have talked always in the past about that kind of editorial calendar consistency. That even if you can post once a week, commit to that, as opposed to we're going to post 5 days and then suddenly people don't hear from you for a month. And then it's very hard to win people back, because they don't know where to, well, if we start following you again, are you going to just post and then never come back again, So
and the other thing as well is not being too salesy, because that's the other people get turned off, I was going to say is that we will talk about that, no doubt, but the fact that with a personal brand you have to have something that would speak to your audience, isn't that right?
Indeed.
Especially if you change kind of direction, the way you'd start off a certain direction and then maybe you niche down. Is there any best practices? Because there could be people out there that kind of going, well, I want to focus on the hair industry, Philip, right? So
did you know
he loves you today, right? I mean, is there something that you can do to evolve, say, your brand from you start? Because every brand starts off with one direction, but then you might decide, I find I need to go, this is better for me. I'm aligned better with this kind of, audience. Is there any kind of, what would you say?
I think, I mean, when I was talking about how you lay down those foundations of your personal brand, and then you've got all those words that you've gathered, and then you're going to start categorizing them. Those will start to fall into kind of like as we know in social media, those content pillars, almost like personal brand content pillars. Well, we need to keep revisiting those, because obviously as we grow, as our businesses grow, as our personal brand grows, as our interests develop, as we leave one thing behind and we find a new interest in something else, we need to be developing those personal brand pillars. So I think that's one thing that we should consistently do, especially if you feel that your niche is sort of slightly changing direction, and that you're going to start focusing on a different kind of target audience or a different type of ideal client. The other thing to do is to obviously create content that's aimed at that particular audience. You need to be really, really clear. And we know that in social media, let alone whether it's personal branding or it's some other kind of content strategy, that you need to be clear about, telling people what you do, who you help, and how working with you is going to change their life in some kind of way, is going to meet their needs, is going to solve their problem or their pain point. And we need to keep doing that all the time with the type of content that we put out through our social media channels. And that's why I think, as you say, Emma, the salesy content, yes, we need to let people know that we're selling.
But not all the time.
Not all the time. But also, and this is what kind of slightly grates a little bit for me about LinkedIn, is that the personal posts are great. I love them. I love reading people's stories, but tell me actually what you do. Because I think sometimes the personal posts are like, oh, I had this lovely time, or this was going on with my dog, or this has been happening, or whatever, but it doesn't actually tell. It builds up people's interest in you as a person in terms of know, like, and trust, but it doesn't necessarily tell them about how you're going to help them. So you need to create that. You need to create that. You need to create that kind of that pillar content, which shows what you stand for, shows what you're about.
Do you know? And on that note, Ella, I'm going to show you what I stand for, because we have now nearly reached the end of the first show.
No.
Yes.
That went too fast.
Would you believe? Yeah, that went very quick, but I think one key takeaway I love from this first show with you, Ella, was that exercise, which I think everybody should do, is take out that piece of paper and revisit.
Mine's a bit blank at the minute.
Yeah, well, I think, though, it's a great exercise, I think, because even when you have been in business for 10, 15, 20 years, I think sometimes people go on the hamster wheel and they forget to take a step and actually celebrate those little wins, all the things they've achieved, the new learnings that could then be turned into new brand propositions. So would you like to round it out there, Emer, as they say?
Yeah, I'm still thinking about what would I put down on a piece of paper, but anyway, Ella, you're not going anywhere. I'm going to say thanks for joining us for the first show, but I can't wait for the second show. Where would you like people to send you? And have you anything coming up that might interest people to sort of leverage their personal brand?
Well, I would love people to come and find me on LinkedIn, Ella Orr, but I'm also pretty active on Instagram as well, and on TikTok. So at Much More Social is the name of my social media. Now I was listening the other day to the Instagram username and name differentiation. So it's so it's at Much More Social. That's where you can actually find me if you're searching for me on Instagram. Come and find me on TikTok. I talk about LinkedIn all the time on there as well. But also, do come. I'm doing quite a lot of podcasts and interviews, and I've got a Spotify playlist. So please do come and find Ella's guest podcast appearances, where you can hear me talking about personal branding, my favorite topic, all the time.
You better include us.
It will be on there. It will be on there.
Wow, we just asked you to tell us one place, Ella. You've literally gone on there for minutes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's taking over the world. What I was going to say. So where can we send people to find us, Philip, then?
Well, if you enjoyed today's show, you'll be able to catch it again very soon on the Let's Get Social Show podcast on Dublin South FM, on Podbean, iTunes, and of course on Spotify.
And on Ella's list, VIP.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes. But if video is your thing, let's get you onto the Let's Get Social Show channel and subscribe, ring that bell, even leave us a comment. Ask us, where do we find Ella? And we'll fill you in. Or if you've got a comment and you'd like to have more questions answered, do leave us a comment. So
exactly. And finally, once again, if you have any ideas for future shows or there's topics you'd like us to cover, or you want us to delve even further into personal branding, drop us an email to inquiries@dublinsouthfm.ie.
So guys, we will see you for part 2. Don't go anywhere, and we'll see you for, as I say, next week for that.
Yes. So thank you again, Ella. Have a great Friday.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.